Crown has you covered. Start your day with the first word. Cincinnati's only morning sports show. Power through midday with the working lunch. Cincinnati business talk that keeps you in the know. Nat tries that for lifestyle around the city. And the Rebound Rundown covers every corner of the college basketball scene in the tri-state and beyond. This is The Crown. Built for Cincinnati. First word for your morning sports. The working lunch for business that hits home. Nat tries that for lifestyle around the city. And Rebound Rundown for college hoops. This city deserves its crown. Watch, listen, subscribe.
Welcome to Midday in the Queen City. Business is booming. You know, we've got development updates going on today. And when sports meets community, everybody wins. Let's do lunch.
Cincinnati is a city that means business. Fortune 500 company HQs, renowned institutions like Children's Hospital and the Cincinnati Zoo, and letters that everyone here knows: TQL, GE, CVG, UC, and X. It's also a city that's large enough for new ideas to take root and grow. You know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, and you're in business. I'm Jack Crumley, and this is The Working Lunch.
Good afternoon. This is The Working Lunch. I'm Jack Crumley. Thanks for joining us today. This is our hour-long business show here on The Crown, where we bring you updates about what companies all around the area are doing. We bring you exclusive interviews with business owners and local leaders. And we try to squeeze in a bite to eat, maybe something to drink before you go back to face the afternoon. Thanks for watching today. Appreciate it. Cincinnati business headlines to bring you. We are kicking things off on this hump day with a convention district project update. With the financing figured out last month, a groundbreaking ceremony was held this morning for the new Cincinnati Marriott Downtown Hotel. It's going to look like that. Skanska is building the 700-room hotel with 60,000 square feet of meeting space, 17,000 square feet of event terrace. It's all part of a $325 million contract that will look like that when the sun hits it just right. Total cost of the project is over $500 million, and it was all figured out through a combination of efforts by the city, the county, 3CDC, and others. Some real creative financing going on with that. It should be ready by late 28 or early 29. That ceremonial groundbreaking just this morning. We have other construction news, it also involving some unique financing. I drove through Norwood yesterday to get a look at the big construction project happening on Montgomery Road, where the Quality Inn used to be there in Norwood. This is a pretty big project, and I wanted to just sort of get an update on where things were at. Now, that picture right there, actually, you can see, I was told by a reliable source, the tower that's in the center of that actually got blown down from some really bad wind that came through a few weeks before, so they had to rebuild it. There was scaffolding all around it, and they were allegedly stacking the cinder blocks to be ready to build the tower. And then when the wind came through, the whole thing came tumbling down, and they had to start over from scratch. Montgomery and Maple is a nearly $60 million development that will add over 170 affordable apartments for seniors. The Port helped with financing there, so this is a public-private partnership. And based on some of the language on the Port's website for this project, I don't think that an affordable housing project for seniors could have been done here without that kind of creative financing. It's a solid location with the Norwood Kroger in Surrey Square just down the street, the Norwood Lateral just to the north, and it will look like this when it's all done, when the sun hits it just right. That building going to be for people 55 and older. The Inquirer says that rent there going to be between $1,000 and $1,700 a month, which I think is pretty good. Also, shout out to the Norwood firefighter who was rolling this magnet device over parts of Maple near Montgomery to pick up stray nails and screws, trying to help prevent flat tires in the area. That was a nice thing for him to be doing. Feel good construction. Let's talk about this. Realm Cincinnati, which is a local publication for CEOs that's put out by the regional chamber, has a post about how Bengals center Ted Karras is spending his own money on housing for people who are intellectually or developmentally disabled. Karras has the Cincy Hat Foundation, and he's partnered with other groups and donors to build housing for those people in Madisonville. The Cincy Hat Foundation has sold over $4 million worth of merch since it was established. It was originally founded to raise money for the Village of Marici, a Medicaid services organization, but Ted Karras and then others now working with the Port and Hamilton County Land Bank on this Madisonville housing project. Karras putting in $500,000 himself. That piece in Realm calls for this just being the first step in a long-term plan for affordable, independent housing. Pretty nice move for a Cincinnati Bengal. Let's keep the feel-good going for today's Big Bite. Sports franchises are big business. That's not exactly news. And because of the money from ticket sales and merch and sponsorships and broadcast rights and more, most professional franchises have nonprofit arms, or at least departments that are active for the good of the community. Here in Cincinnati, we've got the big three. Let's start with the newest one. I want to break some of this down. FC Cincinnati Foundation, which made an intro to the community just in late 2018.
It's an exciting time here at FC Cincinnati for many reasons as we transition to Major League Soccer. I'm Kate Solomon, Vice President of Community Relations for FC Cincinnati, and I'm thrilled today to announce the start of the FC Cincinnati Foundation. Being a part of the community has been an important part of the club since the start, and this is an exciting next step in that process. Our mission is to improve the lives of children in our community through the love of soccer, with programming that centers on character development, physical activity, and mental well-being. As we launch the FC Cincinnati Foundation, we will continue to work with many long-term partners, including Cincinnati Public Schools and the Cincinnati Recreation Commission, along with many others. We will build on existing programming, including the Club Ambassador Program, in which alumni player Omar Cummings visits local schools. The West End Pride soccer teams, which launched this past fall with 2 teams participating in Say Soccer, will expand to additional teams this spring. We will also continue to invest in mini soccer pitches throughout the greater Cincinnati area. The FC Cincinnati Foundation will allow us to build upon these base programs while adding more as we go. We're thrilled to continue working with our fan base and the greater Cincinnati community as we go. To follow along with our community projects and to find out how you can get involved, visit fccincinnati.com/foundation and follow us on social media at FCC_Foundation on Twitter, FCC Foundation on Instagram, and at FC Cincinnati Foundation on Facebook.
That was late 2018, and just 1 year after that, in December of 2019, FCC announced that it had a $1 million impact in its first year. The majority of that money going to programming for underserved youth, especially through soccer and other sports programming. That's going to be a refrain you hear a little bit in this big bite. The club says more than 33,000 local kids were directly impacted by the foundation's work in that first year. That's a pretty impressive stat for year one. In terms of what kind of financial activity FC Cincinnati Foundation has going on currently, we turn to ProPublica to check out some of the latest filings. You can see steady, nearly annual growth of revenue through 2023 at least. You can also see a big jump in expenses in 2023, with a big jump in assets then in 2024. I believe that's going to be from the foundation building 3 new mini pitches that year in Bond Hill, Douglas Park, and Lunken Playfield. 10 mini pitches have been built so far, with at least 10 more in the works. That's not to be confused with the Soccer Unites program. That focuses on teaching children about soccer during in-school and after-school programming. Along with athletic outreach and programming, there's also FCC Foundation's academic outreach.
We are here today at the Cincinnati Zoo for our annual Learning is Cool event. This is a night that we're celebrating students for reaching the A honor roll at least twice during the school year.
Congrats, this is for you. Free chili. Free. That's awesome.
I don't know. I think that's nice with the zoo stuff there. That video posted really just a couple of days ago. Each quarter, kids in Cincinnati Public Schools, Covington Independent Public Schools, North College Hill, and Cincinnati Preparatory Academy who make the A honor roll get a prize and a congratulatory letter from team president and co-CEO Jeff Birding. Over 23,000 rewards distributed in the foundation's most recent report. The FC Cincinnati Foundation has a lot of other programs, but I wanted to highlight what it's doing for the West End specifically. You might remember quite a bit of controversy about FC Cincinnati building its stadium in that neighborhood, and there were a number of commitments made to support the neighborhood in the aftermath of construction. For kids, there's West End Pride, offering children age 4 to 14 free access to recreation-level soccer, competing in an association with weekly practices, games, and special events. Other West End commitment activities: we've got multiple installments of $100,000 grant funding. There's various events with Gary the Lion and the street team, a Halloween candy handout in the neighborhood, and a food drive, which raised nearly $13,000. The FC Cincinnati Foundation also gives grants to a number of organizations in the West End or those supporting development there, like Big Brothers Big Sisters, Cincinnati Museum Center, Our Daily Bread, and also covering the cost of prom for students at Taft High School. Shifting gears now to a different kind of football, Bengals community efforts have a bit of a different structure. Rather than one large foundation, the Bengals operate a broad corporate giving model. More than $1 million generated every year for community groups through direct contributions, NFL charities, and business partner efforts, supporting over 100 organizations every year. Along with that, 250 to 300 individual player appearances that are made. Former Director of Strategy and Engagement, now Vice President Elizabeth Blackburn, has described the philosophy as amplifying the work other organizations are already doing. And those organizations have some names everyone in town recognizes, like the Anthony Munoz Foundation. And of course, there's also the Joe Burrow Foundation, which has a stated mission to provide resources and support to the underprivileged and underserved. But there's also a real focus on food insecurity for the Joe Burrow Foundation. That's from his foundation's most recent report, thanking sponsors and detailing the work that was done last year. Honestly, individual player foundations could be a big bite topic in and of themselves. There's a lot of good being done out there. More recent examples of the Bengals organization backing other groups. That right there is rookie Landon Robinson. I had the pleasure of shaking his hand just yesterday when he came by the studio to talk to the First Word crew. He's not that big of a guy. That's a picture of him helping to build a new playground for Hometown Huddle in conjunction with the United Way and the Cincinnati Recreation Commission. There are also thousands of Bengals-themed power packs that are generated to help make sure kids are fed via the Free Store Food Bank and Fifth Third Bank. Also, things like equipment donations with Good Sports to the Evanston Bulldogs and the West End Little Senators. And then we've also got the Reds Community Fund. Some would say maybe the gold standard around here, a standalone 501c3 that's been going for more than 20 years. Taking a look at some financial snapshots here, again from ProPublica. You'll notice a big jump in revenue in the year 2013. Now, I have to assume that's because the team went to the playoffs in 2012 with 97 wins. You'll also see under assets, big jumps in 2013 and in 2014. Since it was created back around the turn of the century, it saw a big boost in support when the Castellinis took over team ownership just a few years after that. The Reds Community Fund has used sports as a vehicle to better the community. Again, that's the vehicle with which the good is done. It's dedicated to improving the lives of underserved kids through baseball, softball, education, and community building. Take a look at this.
To celebrate Play Ball Weekend, the Cincinnati Reds and the Reds Community Fund hosted an official Major League Baseball pitch, hit, and run competition on June 7th at the P&G MLB Cincinnati Reds Youth Academy in Roseline. Pitch, Hit, and Run gives boys and girls ages 7 to 14 the opportunity to showcase their baseball and softball skills in a fun, free, and welcoming environment. Participants were evaluated in pitching, hitting, and running, with scores combined for a chance to advance to the regional competition at Great American Ballpark.
I got 150 points when I was just pitching, and I did really well. I think I'm going to do well in all of it.
And our kids showed up in a big way. More than 200 young athletes participated, while over 600 guests visited the academy throughout the day. The event was a celebration of youth sports, community, and the simple joy of getting outside and playing the game we love. Thank you to everyone who joined us for a memorable day that reminded us all how much fun it is to play ball.
I got to say, I really like seeing videos of kids playing. That's such a wholesome thing to support. You'll also note that these sort of events are going on during baseball season. They're not waiting for the off season to do this stuff. The Reds Community Fund impacts more than 50,000 athletes and coaches across Reds country, which goes well outside of the bounds of the city of Cincinnati. They do that every year with more than $2 million invested in the community. We're going to get a lot more of that with my guest today, Reds Community Fund Executive Director Charlie Frank. The Reds go out and build fields for kids to play baseball and softball on. They support annual community makeovers that invest in neighborhoods. The Red staff support the community fund through fundraisers like Split the Pot and more. A lot of details on this coming up again with Charlie Frank, going to be my guest. Going to take a break. We've got some stocks of local interest for you to check out. Stick around. You are watching The Working Lunch on The Crown. Good stuff to come.
This city has always had something to prove. While the rest of the country talked about us, we built our own voice. Blue collar, underdogs, built differently, overlooked, talked about like we were supposed to stay quiet. But that was never who we were, because this city doesn't wait for permission. And neither do we. And now, for the first time, Cincinnati has a network built in its image, because the biggest stories in this city deserve more than highlights. This isn't cable television. This isn't national media. This is ours. This is The Crown.
The Crown has you covered. Start your day with the first word. Cincinnati's only morning sports show. Power through midday with the working lunch. Cincinnati business talk that keeps you in the know. Nat tries that for lifestyle around the city. And the Rebound Rundown covers every corner of the college basketball scene in the tri-state and beyond. This is The Crown. Built for Cincinnati. First word for your morning sports. The working lunch for business that hits home. Nat tries that for lifestyle around the city. And Rebound Rundown for college hoops. This city deserves its crown. Watch, listen, subscribe.
My name is Jack Crumley. I've been covering news in Cincinnati on the radio for the last 20 years. I grew up in Northeast Ohio, but Cincinnati has always felt like home since day one. I've seen so many things accomplished here, and now, with the Working Lunch, I get to write, read, and talk about them every day. Hard-working people with a drive and a dream. Innovative ideas that help shape this city. Cincinnati is a great city, and I'm excited to tell you about it every day.
My name is James Rapine, and I host First Word every weekday morning, 7 to 11, right here on The Crown. Prior to joining The Crown Network, I covered the Bengals for Sports Illustrated for 6 seasons. I also am the founder of Cincinnati Bengals Talk on YouTube and wrote the book, Enter the Jungle, a history of the Cincinnati Bengals. Couldn't be more excited to join you every weekday morning for First Word right here on The Crown.
Welcome back to the Working Lunch. I'm Jack Crumley, pleased to be joined by the Executive Director of the Reds Community Fund, Mr. Charlie Frank is here with us. Charlie, thanks for coming on the show. How much do you love your job?
Oh my goodness, Jack. I could regale you all day, but trust me when I say I feel incredibly fortunate having grown up in this community and coming from a Reds family and caring so much about the team, so much about the community, and sort of working my way into a position where I can be the front end of where that intersection takes place with baseball and community. It really is. It's a dream job.
I think that you've got a really interesting position, too, because, the interviews that I've done with nonprofit folks and whatever experience that I have with people that are involved in that space, executive director is oftentimes a position that involves making sure that grants are written and filled out ahead of deadlines, and there's maybe a lot of glad handing, but I think you're really more in the driver's seat from a creative perspective. Is that the right angle to have on that?
Yeah, it is. And, there's so many unique layers about the Reds Community Fund and being in a sports nonprofit. And we've been in this space for a long time, and I serve on some other boards, so I know how fortunate we are to have 81 home games, to have a professional sports team to draft off of. And as you know, and as the viewers know, this isn't just being connected to a sports team, it's being connected to the Reds in greater Cincinnati. That is a really, really unique opportunity and a responsibility. But yeah, it's been fun. A quarter century we've been around, and I've been around for most of it. Still have my hands in a lot of the creative. We opened our youth academy 12 summers ago. So, we have 6 full-time staff that are out there operating that. So in the weeds every day with, a 30-plus acre site and a 34,000 square foot indoor footprint. But yeah, there's a lot to do. It's obviously grown dramatically in my time here, but it's fun to be able to wear a lot of the different hats and still build the relationships that really keep it going.
Yeah, it's really great stuff, and you get to meet people, you get to see sort of the fruits of your labor with videos like that, where it's the kids that are out there playing with stuff. And you've referred to yourself as a community ambassador, which I think is sort of that maybe more so than executive director. Yeah. Yeah,
it really is, because it's about relationship building, and I think that continuity is such a key. Having been in this role now for 23 seasons, been through a lot of turnover in the local baseball and softball community, working with leaders in Dayton and Louisville and Middletown, and that continuity, people being able to find you, trust you, know that you're still a part of the Reds organization. It's a very powerful thing. So and I feel fortunate too that I've been part of the Reds leadership team here for a number of years. So, it's I feel like I have a handle on a lot of the day-to-day business beyond just what's happening in the community lane. But I think more than anything, I'm counting on to be out in the community. Tonight we have a dinner at our Youth Academy celebrating our RBI program, reviving baseball and softball in inner cities. We'll have over 500 guests. Yeah. Parking will be a nightmare. We're hoping the roof doesn't flood again in the rain today. But, so seeing the coaches, seeing the families and the kids that we serve, with donors and sponsors that'll be at the event as well.
And that's such enthusiastic support. It's not people showing up because, well, I need to do this. I feel like it's less out of obligation and more about passion for what you guys are accomplishing and passion for the team and passion for the idea of kids playing sports.
Yeah, it all comes together. You're absolutely right. I mean, it's a tough thing to describe, but I think you just did a good job. I mean, youth sports is a big part of it. Baseball and softball are a huge part of it. Community is a huge part of it. There are a lot of different areas that you can tap in and sort of find your energy. A big part of our mission is the fact that fewer kids are playing baseball and softball than before. And you can find statistics that support any narrative. But, the reality is if you look at a lot of the ball fields, they're pretty quiet after May. And when I grew up playing knot-hole baseball here, we were playing, if we were doing well, into August. So the season has shrunk. The number of kids playing the game locally has has changed dramatically. The way the game is played has changed. I mean, so much of it now is travel ball and select ball, and that's tough. It's tough. You know, when I was coaching my son and daughter, we took a lot of pride in still playing rec ball. They want to ride their bikes to the ball field, you know. So the game has changed. There's a big business piece of this, you know, beyond the labor situation and the TV rights and TV revenue. Finding that next generation of young people that really care about this game is so imperative. When I started, it was sort of a nice to have. Now, from a business perspective, it's an absolute need to have, and our ownership and leadership of the Reds really understand that.
Well, and I think you get so much support from the organization like you're talking about. And how big of a deal is it when you're trying to build like this RBI program about baseball in the inner city, and kids just being able to maybe meet a Reds player, meet a professional baseball player, and have that be the thing that maybe kicks them off on caring about a thing that they never cared about before?
Yeah, no question. I mean, in a town like ours, I mean, access has got to be a big deal. It's easier here than it is in other markets. I've worked in other markets, and you know, from my experience, the access here is greater. And access is such a part of the fan experience because the game has become so corporate. Not just our game, sports, the business, all of it has become so corporate and expensive and exclusive in some ways. Baseball's the outlier. You know, baseball, you still can afford to get to the ballpark. You know, 3-2-1 Tuesdays are an affordable way for our young fan base to come and experience Reds baseball at the ballpark. But getting access, if you're a kid, Hunter Green coming out to the academy as he was a few weeks ago with Jose Trevino and Will Benson and Matt McClain. I mean, we have such a connection with the Reds clubhouse. We have every player, and Terry Francona that are involved this year. Chase Burns with his new deal going to be even more involved. We're incredibly fortunate. That's not just good luck. That's leadership. That's strategy. It comes from the top. And when we opened our youth academy 12 years ago, and other teams from Major League Baseball came in to check it out, I think they left town just as impressed with the culture that gets players out there, gets resources out there, so that everything is flowing from the top down. And the academy doesn't feel like a one-off. It feels like a part of the Reds culture. We just had our ticketing department out there for a big lunch yesterday. It really does feel almost like Goodyear, Arizona, but closer. Part of the campus, part of the DNA.
I'm not as aware of what maybe other baseball teams do. I sort of assume that every major league franchise or team has some kind of charitable community or aspect to it. Do you interact with what these other teams are doing? Can you toot your own horn a little bit as far as what the Reds Community Fund is doing versus maybe what other teams are doing?
Yeah, you know what, Jack, I'll say the one thing about us that's unique beyond having the first indoor northern climate youth academy is that we are more baseball and softball centric than I think any others. Our model has been to be more inch deep, instead of the inch deep, mile wide, we've been more of the inch wide, mile deep.
Okay.
So we're really engaged in trying to get kids to our game. It is so important that we reach them young. It is so important that we partner with public schools to get baseball instruction and introduction into the PE classes. We have been so intentional about that, especially over the last 10 years. If kids don't know how to play our game, they're not going to keep up with it. They're not going to become fans of it. For us, we grow up in this community. I mean, baseball was spoken in my home from a very young age. It's like learning a language, and if your parents appreciate it or your family, your friends, if it's on in the background at your home, if you get, like you said earlier, a chance to go down and connect and feel what the atmosphere is like, you're going to stick around with it. So that's such a big part of what we do with the community fund. Having a youth academy is a big piece of it, but I tell people all the time, it's just a dot on the map. So we also have to be really strategic and very intentional to make our budget go as far as we can so that we can expand into public schools, we can expand into other Reds markets, and we're lucky with Louisville being our AAA affiliate and Dayton being one of our single A affiliates. Our Reds baseball camps is running right now. We have camps in West Virginia.
Yeah, you guys are doing stuff during the season too. This isn't just like off-season stuff.
We really don't have an off season. We have the the baseball season, and then we have the fall and winter where we are programming 6 days and nights a week at our youth academy and still working on Fridays, but trying to give everyone a night off just for high school sports. But so I think we're more in the weeds of our game than any other team, and there's some teams that do a great job. There are other fabulous academies out there. I think we're a little bit ahead of the curve in terms of really trying to, first of all, track our data. Our board president, who's a retired P&G guy, his name's Tim Butler, and he's done an amazing job developing what we call our Youth Baseball Collaborative. We're trying to get our arms around every organization that plays youth baseball or softball in our community, just to have a dashboard of how many kids are playing.
And that's you guys reaching out to them as opposed to a bunch of different groups calling up the Reds saying, hey, can you help us? Hey, can you help us? That's you guys reaching out to them.
We get those too.
Okay.
And we have grant cycles that are built for people to reach out to us for support. That's why we exist. But in terms of the leadership piece of it, that is us reaching out.
Yeah.
And we're trying to get Major League Baseball to embrace this, because if I were sitting in the commissioner's chair, I would want to have this dashboard data not only in every major league market, I'd want it in every minor league market and every community that plays RBI baseball. Yeah. We need to be doing more to understand who's playing, where are they playing, how are they playing, and how can Major League Baseball and how can the teams in the community support them.
Real quick, before we go to break, I do want to get into a little bit about, because you guys have this variety of programming and so many different things that you're doing where you're, the Youth Academy is huge. Setting up fields for kids to play in various communities is huge. You've got stuff like the Red Legs Run, which is a big fundraiser for it. You guys have such a creative way of raising money for the organization that's more than just, hey, show up and write us a check. It's participatory stuff like the Red Legs Run. You've got the 50-50 raffle, which was instituted somewhat recently. There's a picture from the Ripley Field ribbon cutting, which South Ripley, Indiana. You guys you guys are out there doing this to help out. This isn't just inner city, it's everywhere.
Yeah, it's Reds country, and there's our 50-50 raffle with Mike's Car Wash, which has become, not only for the Reds, but for most teams in baseball and North American sports, it's become just an extraordinary, irreplaceable revenue stream.
It's huge. And I'm told that our own Paul Fritchner is a huge fan of the Reds 50-50 raffle.
Well, Paul Fritchner, thank you for your generous support. I can tell you with 50-50 raffle, and our staff does an amazing job with early bird prizes and a lot of creative marketing. You can play 50-50 as long as you're in the state of Ohio when you play and 18 years of age or older. You can play at any time. I mean, we have our opening day jackpot that runs about 5 weeks before opening day, and that one grows to be about $250,000. Yeah. We have we do it now. We did it for years where we would have a jackpot for every home game. And I bumped into someone last week who was telling me, I won it once, but it was when you still did it every night, and it was a rainy April, and I said, you probably won about $720.
Which, by the way, that's still nothing
to
sneeze
nice.
at.
Yeah, of course. He said, and I still got my tax form from you. And I'm like, yeah, you're welcome. Sure. But now we pull a winner after every home series.
Yeah.
So, if we have a 9-game homestand, we're pulling, 3 3-game series at the end of each of those 3-game series. So it gives us an opportunity to build some momentum. It makes that jackpot at the end of it a little more desirable.
Yeah,
and I think like people that play any lottery know, as that number grows, everyone at the ball, if you get over 6 figures on a Sunday with a big crowd, we can't keep up,
For sure.
And opening day, I think we're still printing tickets from, because we got to print every ticket. And if you sell the Ellie Dela Cruz special and you're getting 44 tickets for $20, we have a lot of tickets to print at the end of the day.
You talk about printing tickets and raising money. We've got to pay a couple of bills. We got to take a break. We will be back with more Charlie Frank from the Reds Community Fund after this. You're watching The Working Lunch on The Crown.
What is The Crown? It's simple, really. Authentic Cincinnati entertainment. Not hot takes from a studio 3 states away. not national noise pretending to know this city, rather bringing a voice to those who call the Queen City home. Where can I watch the Crown shows? Join us live from 7 to 11 a.m. for First Word and 12 to 1 for the Working Lunch on RESN. No live TV? No problem. Stream and interact with all of our content on major podcast, broadcast, and streaming platforms. The Crown is Cincinnati. Loud, passionate, competitive, proud. From early morning sports debates to the business leaders shaping the riverfront, to the fans, stories, moments, and culture that make this place move. Live shows, podcasts, documentaries, digital content built from Cincinnati, for Cincinnati. This is The Crown.
Hi, my name is Adelaide Jones. Just your typical 40-year-old Cincinnati girl. Although, no, I'm not married or divorced. I don't have any kids, and I don't live in the neighborhood I grew up in, which is the West Side, by the way. But what I do have is a lot of freaking time, and I've been using it well. So come along with me on this grand adventure, because I've been trying all the new around town that you need to know about. This is Nat Tries That.
My name's Jacob Tissett, and I'm a co-host of First Word from 7 to 11 every morning right here on the Crown Network, where we will break down the biggest stories in Cincinnati sports. I'm a graduate of the University of Alabama, where I spent 4 seasons working for the football team as a student assistant, contributing to the 2020 National Championship and 3 SEC championships. I'm a Cincinnati native, a St. Xavier High School graduate, and will bring a local perspective and passion to covering the Bengals, Reds, and everything in between. I'm excited to have you join us on First Word.
Hey, I'm Marissa Contapelli, one of the co-hosts on First Word and a features producer here on The Crown, where I will be out and about in Cincinnati bringing you the stories that you need to hear in the Queen City. Now, I know I'm from Cleveland, but I love my Cincy sports. I've been in Cincinnati for almost a decade now, spending the last 8 seasons with the Bengals as a team reporter and senior producer. I am so excited to be a part of the team here at The Crown, and I can't wait to bring you the latest from around the city.
So that's a promotional video that the Reds Community Fund did specifically when it comes to the telethon that you guys just had recently. I think that was a pretty successful thing. It was certain dollar amounts that got pledged, got certain like prize packs and all sorts of stuff maybe on field. There were a lot of different options for people.
Yeah, you know, Jack, I mean, for years, the telethon was strictly over the air. It was strictly a TV event. The last 2 years, you can see we've really taken great strides to build it out at home. The Reds have been phenomenal to us, as they always are. You know, and people may not know, the Reds have 2 501c3 public nonprofit partners with the Reds Hall of Fame and Museum and the
right.
Community Fund. And the inclusion, the support is, boy, it's hard to articulate how genuine, authentic, and meaningful it is to be able to go out and tell our stories like this. So, we get an expanded pregame on the air. So that telecast at night includes a 60-minute pregame, and all the baseball elements are the first 30. So if people are tuning in, we're telling our stories about our kids, our coaches, our field renovations, our facilities, and that final half an hour, and we're priming the pump to get people interested. We do give the 2 packages. So this year we had this incredibly popular Reds-themed hockey hoodie that made even a 2-hour and 12-minute game got us to a sellout level. The game was so fast.
That was a quick game.
It was a 1-0 game, but the items were so popular in that package with a Joe Morgan bobblehead that had the spring on the left elbow, so there's the chicken wing flap. You could, because it's funny. 50 years since Joe Morgan's second MVP award.
Yeah.
And so all these prizes, so you could have the 2 different elements, but then the home game, as you mentioned, we had a lot of our award winners, our coaches, a lot of our teams and kids. They had a parade before the game and a lot of elements in game.
Charlie Frank is the executive director of the Reds Community Fund. You were talking about telling the story, and telling stories is something that you've got some professional history with. You were a local guy, went to Walnut Hills High School, and at some point you get over to the Minnesota Timberwolves and worked in communications for them. I'm curious about, what you learned in working in communications for the Timberwolves that's a part of what you bring to leadership here for the Reds Community Fund.
Well, as a communications major, I focused on radio and TV. So I started my career in radio. I worked in Boston with the Celtics radio network for 2 years, and that led to an opportunity to join the Timberwolves when they were getting their radio network and their TV elements built. Mm-hmm. And I was young. But I came from 2 years with the Celtics in the late 80s, and the Celtics were still the Celtics. And that was still the Bird, McHale, Parrish, Celtics. So there was a phenomenal opportunity in Minnesota. The young group that kind of learned how to do it together, but some people in the industry that have gone to do amazing things. So there was tremendous vision and leadership and energy and speed. And you had to think on your feet. I mean, we were going through this for the first time. First season with the Timberwolves, we played at the Metrodome. We averaged about 35,000 fans, drew over 1 million. I still think it's the only wintertime sport that's ever had 1 million fans. It's just an amazing experience being there for over a decade. And then, took on community and some PR responsibilities. And when I left and came back to Cincinnati, it was a lot of that community touch point that resonated. I still love the radio TV. I still hang around more than I should, with the Reds radio crew, especially. We have a every Saturday radio segment on the Reds radio network.
I mean, what is Cowboy thinking that you're sweating him or something?
I don't think he's too concerned. He gets sick of me just sitting there and weighing in on the scoreboard stumper, though. No, I mean, storytelling, to your point, is so important, and the communication background that I had in school, that I took into my first days in radio, that I then used to take on more responsibility in the NBA with the Timberwolves. A very different hat that I'm wearing here with the Reds. But the ability to connect, the ability to storytell, the ability to convey your passion for the product.
Yeah.
To work in sports and entertainment, to be able to stay in it as long as I have, I mean, that's a blessing, man. That's it's not easy to do. I've had a couple very distinctive, chapters in my career, so I realize how fortunate I am. And clearly, it's the ability to talk and listen and relate and empathize.
Well, and you're telling this story really to maybe 2 different sets of ears. You've got doing public stuff like this where you're being interviewed about the organization and talking up all the stuff you're doing, but in terms of the various partnerships that you guys have with so many corporate supporters and sponsors here in this city, that's you telling the story again to them too. You've got Kroger, you've got Procter & Gamble, you've got, I think, GE Aerospace, you've got the zoo. There's so many organizations that you guys work with that are so supportive. That's one of the things that was a founding tenet of this show was the idea that we talk about business, we talk about what companies in this city are doing, but also keeping up on the arts and keeping up on the nonprofit space and the way that companies in this city support those organizations. You see that firsthand.
Oh, yeah, and we're coming up on one of our biggest examples of that here over the next 48 hours. We have a project that the Reds lead called the Community Makeover, and it began back in 2010 with P&G, and then we moved into, so it's a different community every year. It started with ball field renovation. 2011, we started in Winton Hills, where ironically we're back to here this week with an incredibly dynamic project where we are getting into the, you mentioned GE, they're bringing the STEM labs, the Cincinnati Zoo, what they put into this project in terms of design and horticulture and facilities.
That's cool.
It's staggering how much they care.
And so you guys are back at Winton Hills for the Community Makeover.
So we're working at Winton Hills Academy School. We're working at Winton Hills Recreation Center with CRC. We're working at the Winton Hills Community Church, at their new Community Council building. We're working down the street with the Metropolitan Housing Authority, refurbishing a basketball court and painting a mural on it with local artist Brent Billingsley.
Wow.
And we're working over at Brandon Phillips Field, just 3 blocks away, which was the home of this project in 2010. But it's P&G, the zoo, Cincinnati Children's, Kroger, GE. We've added the Housing Authority this year. It's also the Greater Cincinnati Foundation, United Way, OneSource, Tool Bank. I mean, and I'm leaving some out. And that's where I think the Reds have such power to convene. People care about the Reds, especially when they feel like, look what the Reds are doing. They're using, their profile positively, progressively, responsibly to go out and do things that transcend sports. This started with ball field renovation. Now a ball field is a piece of it every year, sometimes a big piece, sometimes not as big. It's always about youth sports, but more importantly, our goal is to be able to positively impact every child, every family in this community. And from Bond Hill in 24 to Walnut Hills last year to Winton Hills this year, we're already, working hard to figure out what's the next project in 28.
Well, say what's next? That's
What's next?
Maybe the sign of a good leader right there. Charlie Frank is the executive director of the Reds Community Fund. They're doing a lot in the community. They've got stuff coming up this week with that makeover in Winton Hills, getting back to where it all started. Charlie, thank you very much for coming on the show.
My pleasure, Jack. Great to see what you guys are doing here. Great to see it firsthand.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to have you. We are going to take a break. We've got more Working Lunch coming your way. Stick around. You're watching The Crown.
Cincinnati, Ohio. We welcome you from Cincinnati, Ohio. Nick had with the fan favorite to put it away. Touchdown, Cincinnati. Oh, what a catch. Cincinnati can't score. What a possession. And look who scores in the Reds win.
Cincinnati sports fans are the best. Loyal, passionate, second to none. This city lives and breathes sports, and now it finally has a morning show to match. I'm James Rapine, and this is First Word, the only morning sports show in Cincinnati and the place where every day starts. We break down the biggest moments and set the agenda for the city. Marissa Contepelli and Jacob Tissett join me to bring the insight and energy you need to start your day. The conversation starts with First Word. First Word, weekdays 7 to 11, part of the Crown Network.
This is the Rebound Rundown. I'm your host, Paul Fritchner. Your home for college basketball in the Cincinnati area and across the country every Monday through Friday during the season. Previews, recaps, breakdowns, interviews, and more. You can find it all right here. Your one-stop shop for a quick dose of college hoops on your morning commute. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, my name is Natalie Jones, a Cincinnati native, and I have been in media for about 10 years now. Formerly on the radio here in Cincinnati, I grew my love and obsession with finding all things fun in Cincinnati and have now made it my life. I'm originally from the West Side here, and then I've pretty much been a downtown girl ever since college. But I did leave for 7 years, and during that time, I really grew and harnessed and cut my teeth doing stand-up comedy in Los Angeles, learning how to ski in Colorado, and now I'm back here in Cincinnati, driven by curiosity and grounded by family.
I'm Paul Fritchner. I'm a 2019 graduate of Xavier University, and I've been covering college basketball for 10 years here in the Cincinnati area. I'm the host of the Rebound Rundown, a daily college basketball podcast during the season and a weekly show in the off-season covering everything you need to know about your favorite team. And if you're not a fan of a team here in Cincinnati, I have you covered from the national perspective as well. Follow it on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to the Working Lunch. I'm Jack Crumley. We are wrapping up the show today. Got a couple other things that have caught my attention, and I wanted to put it on your radar. Let's start with this from Dave's Hot Chicken. Take a look at this little promotion that's been going on for a couple of weeks now. This is the Dave's Hot Chicken X-Men 97 promotion. This is a cartoon that's streaming on Disney Plus right now, and they've got a tie-in meal to promote it. I try not to be a downer. I really, really do. I fight against cynicism a lot. But I am disappointed in how far we have fallen when it comes to media tie-in themed meals here. So the X-Men 97 meal gets you either a chicken slider sandwich there and fries, and then you get one of these X-Men figurines along with it. They look decent, but they don't do anything. There's no action feature. You don't pull something back with wheels and it scoots forward. Nothing lights up. It's just like a little figurine. That sandwich is billed as a slider, which doesn't feel big to me in terms of, you would call it a sandwich if it was a sandwich. Slider means smaller. There's no drink that's named in this thing, and you get this all for $13.99. You could get an entire pizza for that, not just some little slider sandwich and fries, no drink. It costs an extra 69 cents if you want to add cheese to the sandwich. It's an extra $1.50 if you want cheese fries. I don't know, man. That's oh, and one other thing you notice on that promo, the word kid was nowhere to be seen. This is a meal that's not even, it's not geared toward kids, because who's watching X-Men 97 other than people my age? We are moving on. We're staying in the chicken theme, though. I promise this is going to be a little less cynical. Colonel Sanders' home in Shelbyville, Kentucky, is going up for auction soon. The 1800s house that belonged to the Colonel, slated for auction at the end of the month. It's called Blackwood Hall. It sits on 3 acres, 5,400 square foot mansion in Shelbyville, Kentucky. He headquartered KFC out of the garage until he moved it into this adjacent restaurant that you're seeing some pictures in there. I believe that room, it was the stairwell right there. That's where they had the inspiration for that horrid double down sandwich with the meat as the bread. That's just there's sauce on it somehow, and that's dry. I don't think that's where they got the inspiration for the Cheetos sandwich. I think that's where they got the double down from, is those stairs. Built in 1866, 2-story mansion featuring 5 bedrooms, a lounge, a library, and a piano room. Something that you don't see very much of anymore. No price estimate for the property sale on this. The 3-acre property that's up for sealed bid auction includes the still operating Claudia Sanders Dinner House. That's the adjacent house there. Aside from the sealed bid property auction, KFC enthusiasts can also bid on documents and artifacts that recall Sanders' career, including a birthday card from President Richard Nixon. Worth the price of admission alone. They're looking to have that auction wrapped up here by the end of the year. I would like to give a huge thank you to Charlie Frank, the executive director of the Reds Community Fund, for coming on the show, running down all the different things that the Reds Community Fund does, getting out into the community, helping kids play sports, helping kids get outside and play, the various creative fundraising elements that the Reds Community Fund does. It's very cool, and we should be very proud of all the work that they are doing in this area. That's our show. Back tomorrow morning for First Word with James Rapine, though technically First Word without James Rapine. Marissa Contepelli and Jacob Tissett taking the reins on the show there. There's a million different ways you can check us all out. Here's the TV elements of it. We're on Rock Entertainment Sports Network on 19.3 and the ancillary stations on there. New shows all this week again. Nat Tries That, The Nat Jones Show. Paul Fritchner, big fan of the Reds 50-50 raffle with the rebound rundown and more. That's our show. We got to wrap it up. We're back tomorrow. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. We're back tomorrow with more Working Lunch.